What's going on, family? Listen, we've had a lot of amazing guests on the show, and perhaps you may have never, ever listened to those episodes. So we wanted to present a new segment called SONW Classic, where we go back, we revisit those iconic conversations, and give those full episodes back to you. Sit back and enjoy this week's SONW Classic. Let's welcome a boss to the show, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, Lauren is on the podcast today. How are you, fam?
I'm so glad to be here with you, Shawn.
Take us back to like the young Lauren growing up. Like, what was life for you? Where are you from?
Well, I was originally born in Queens. So, I've had an incredible journey. I met my husband in North Carolina, where we started our company in 92. And, really his vision of, where computers would be going really made a huge difference. I mean, nobody back in 92 believed that people would shop online. It just was preposterous. The thought of people buying shoes, clothing, cosmetics, books, anything, everybody wanted to touch and feel things. And we really believed that they would eventually, convert their shopping from brick and mortar to click and order. And, after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, we launched. It was tough in the beginning because, Shawn, nobody wants to give you any products to try. You hardly have any customers.
Yeah.
Nobody has computers. They have to go to the library to use a computer, right? Or it was dial-up, so there was no way to get in. But, we really believed that the time would come, and here we are. And now the thought of not shopping online is preposterous, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about where we've come, in the beginning, nobody would sell us any products. Today, we get the pick of the creme de la creme. We have probably 1,000 submissions a month and pick 2 or 3. And, we don't do Me Too products. We really do products that really can make an impact and a difference on people's lives. So we've been super fortunate and of course worked really hard to get here. And our team's been together for 29 years. So, I don't have any complaints. I'm just starting up a whole nother second round of going in strong.
How important for our audience right now, because there's so many people that got all these ideas, they want to bring them to life. How important, Lauren, is it for them to recognize that their ideas could be possible?
I think people need to understand that belief has got to start with themselves. You really do have to put blinders on and kind of eliminate all the naysayers, because life's difficult as it is. Let's think about it, Shawn, right? And, there's that old saying that misery loves company, right? So it's really important that you surround yourself with the right people. If you cut people out of your life, it's because you have to. It's not because you don't love them. And I think when people kind of step out of that comfort zone, that box that they've kind of kept themselves in, and realize that, the only way to get out of it is to take one step out of the box. So believing in yourself is everything, but you can't do that if you have a bunch of naysayers around you, negative people. One of the things I do, as Shawn, is I keep a very tight circle. And I know you're the same. You keep those people around you who are pushing you and elevating you, and you're telling you how great you are, and telling you can bounce ideas off of each other, and you can really trust what they offer to you or what they say to you. And, you want to make sure that you're around those people who are pushing you and elevating you to be a better human being. And then anything's possible.
What's your advice for that person listening right now who's at that moment where they need to hear those words of how they can overcome fear?
Well, first of all, I want them to understand that fear is, I always say this, it's a worthless worry. Go back in your mind and think about a time that you were afraid of something. Something happened in your life when just being fearful of that moment didn't change the outcome of it. It never changes the outcome of it. So fear is a worthless emotion. It doesn't make a bit of sense. And all it does is set you back for no reason at all. And I think most people need to understand that everybody falls down. It's how fast you get up. And I think it's so important for people to understand that it is possible. You are possible. People are possible. And somebody says, well, I need to have an idea that nobody's ever thought of. That's not true. I've seen people have, there's take something as simple as bread. There's, 1,000 brands of bread.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the most unique thing in the world. You just need to have your story. What's your why? Why are you doing it? Because once you know your why, the how is simple.
I think people are afraid not only just telling their story, but don't realize the power in their story. For you, right, sharing your story, how has that impacted your life? But most importantly, how has it impacted other people's lives that you started to tell it?
Listen, your story may be filled with pain. My story was, when we started in 92, we had no idea what we were doing, no money in the bank. My husband and I were flat broke. Just had my daughter, who was born in April of 92, at the same month that the company, September of 92, and the company was born in April of 92. And I was scared to death. But, I didn't have anybody to watch her. My mom passed away just a month later. So the person who I thought was, the greatest woman, greatest inspiration in my life had passed away at the same month I was starting this business. Same time. I literally took my daughter to work every day on one of those little knapsacks, passed her around the office every time we go between meetings, put a playpen in, did whatever we could to make it happen. And here's the thing. Most people won't do that. Most people use that as an excuse why they can't start. Most people will use that as an excuse of why they can't start. Well, my mom passed away and my daughter's, just a few weeks old. I don't have anybody to watch her. No, what we did was we packed her up on our back, put the bottles in our bag, took her, food to the office, and everybody got a quick education on helping watch Amber while we all built the business. And that's what we had to do. Most people won't do what you did, Shawn. Most people won't do that because that requires work, and they're afraid of that. Because what if they fail? Well, what if you succeed? What if you succeed? Truth of the matter is that people are so afraid of failure, but they never think about what happens if they do succeed. So they never give themselves that opportunity. And I always say, if you're going to be good at something, be darn good at it. You know what I mean? Just don't show up halfway. Show up and do a great job. And I think, people miss the mark. They don't realize it's actually easy to succeed. Everybody's like, oh, well, they see you speaking on here, Shawn. So they're like, well, that must be amazing. Well, you're up there and you're interviewing all these people and you're a celebrity, Shawn. And that's the coolest thing ever. But they don't understand the process it took you to get there, right?
Tell them. Facts.
They don't understand that the process was doing the work before you got here. And that's the hard work. And people, for some reason, they'll work their whole lives for somebody else. They'll have somebody else tell them what to do, making minimum wage or a little bit above it, having somebody take their ideas or their suggestions and act like they're their own, work for this person their whole life. Their life doesn't change. They're working paycheck to paycheck, and they don't know what else to do. So what do? They keep working for somebody else rather than stepping out and say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm going to finally do something for myself. I'm finally going to take that chance, and I'm going to surround myself with the right people, and I'm finally going to do what I was meant to do.
Yeah, that's on a whole nother level. If you were to jump back to a moment in your career where things weren't going so well, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that moment? But most importantly, how did you overcome that?
You do what you can do, but you don't quit. At the very time that you think that something is getting ready to go wrong, you're ready to throw in the towel, success is right around the corner, right? Because most people have to fail in order to get to success. Most people have to fail in order to succeed. So you have to tie a knot and hold on tight. Listen, we had no money. Whatever it took to make it happen, we did whatever it took. We're still debt free today, 30 years later, because my husband and I don't believe in buying things that we can't afford to buy outright. Because what happens is people come in a little bit of money and they start spending it and they start acting crazy. And then they're wondering why they're broke. And then they max out their credit card bills. Listen, don't believe that old saying, fake it till you make it. That doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need to be authentic to yourself. You need to put in that work. You need to say, I can do this. Today, we live a life that most people dream about. Why? Because we went through the pain. We put in the work. We went through the process. You cannot get to success without going through the process. Most people want all the reward, but they don't want to take the risk. Most people they just want the rainbow. They don't want the rain. You know what I mean? Most people want an incredible relationship, but they're not willing to put in the effort or the work with somebody that they love. Let me tell you the biggest key to success: people. People. You have to put in the time in yourself and invest in yourself, and don't let anything get in your way. Do not get sidetracked. Don't listen to your best friend when she calls you and tells you, hey, let's go to the movies tonight. I love you. I'm going to go to the movies with you in 3 years when I get where I need to be. People need to stay focused. Do not get yourself into credit card debt and jam. Stay debt free. There's something to cash in the bank.
And I think people right now are also wondering, okay, how can we tap into Lauren's mindset of systems? Like, what are some of those systems that you built to make your company successful, that you want to share with our audience? Because I think a lot of times with entrepreneurs, they have ideas they want to implement, but they structure with how to figure out the right process that can work for them.
First of all, identify what the why is. What's the why? Write down what it is. What is it that I need to do to get there? When do I want to get there by? Where is this going to take me? How is this going to accomplish my why? And put down on paper, what are those things that I need to do in order to get where I'm going? And then set a deadline. People don't put a deadline to things. You need a timeline. You need a roadmap to follow. So, we try to keep things where, it's easy for people to follow, but you can't fail. So if you have the 28-day challenge, or if you know exactly what you need to do in order to get where you want to go, but you do have to identify things by date, because you know what? Otherwise, it's too easy to fall back. You don't have something to go on. You're like, well, it's kind of open-ended. I've never done anything that works that's open-ended. And my team, as far as systems go, I mean, there are certainly, chains of command, but we really try to we do something a little bit differently than most people. We really try to get people together and get people to agree on the mission and on the purpose. And rather than just telling people what we're going to do, we try to involve people. And I always tell people when I hire them, if I'm bringing you on to work with me, the word but and can't doesn't exist. You may have to find a different way. You might have to be creative. Yeah. We might have to change our thinking, but we'll get there another way. You have to really get people to think in a way that they're not used to thinking.
I think truly a large part of my success, if I'm being honest, is really understanding, how I can continue to further relationships, but most importantly, create things with people that I'm introduced to. My question for you is this: as somebody that's obviously networked with so many people, what are some of your keys to somebody right now that's listening, wanting to know how can they build better relationships?
I think, first of all, is honesty, being honest. People don't want to talk to somebody who's not honest. So somebody who's authentic about their story, somebody who says, you know what, I haven't gotten where I wanted to be, but this is where I'm going. These are my thoughts. These are my ideas. People appreciate that. Second thing is being not only just authentic to other people, but authentic to yourself. That really comes through. I think being a caring and a kind person is so important. And make sure that you're a positive person. Make sure you're not a negative person, because nobody wants to hang out with negative Ned or negative Nancy. Nobody wants that in their life. They want to hang out with somebody who believes they can accomplish anything, because you're right here. That's why I say the key to any success is people. What we want is to be with people who elevate each other, people who surround themselves, people who have a story, who went through the process. There's a lot of people who admire and look up and aspire to be you. But the question is, will they go through the pain? Will they take the bullets? Will they take the bow and arrows? It's hard to do that. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and guts. And some people just want everything to be really pretty. They just want the rainbows. They don't want the risk.
Look, Lauren, I want to ask you the question. We ask everybody who's ever been on this show, ever been on this podcast, whether you graduated, whether you dropped out, school just wasn't for you. You're asking yourself the question of the show. School's over, now what? What advice would Lauren give?
I wish I paid attention more in school like I should have, because I would have been extra triple threat dangerous. I was more interested in building relationships. There's something about, putting in the time, getting the education, but I also believe that people, I hope they stay stupid enough and not get so educated that they won't believe in themselves to step out and be an entrepreneur, to step out and do something and not go work the 9 to 5 for somebody else's dreams rather than your own dreams. Our parents aren't bad people. When I say you have to check out, you have to check out and take that mental vacation from people you love. Sometimes it's your own family. And so my dad, I had to check out from my dad because I didn't want to live his dream. I had no desire to live his dream. So when I finally checked out, didn't mean I didn't love him. I did. Just meant not now, Dad. Not now. Now's not the time for you to be in here. And so the most important thing I do when I got out of school is I protected my mind. My mind is my most valuable asset. I protect my mind. I guard it with my life. Don't let anyone in here. Don't let anyone in here. Because if you do, you'll become a prisoner of your own mind.
Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.